So I spent all damn day on that tractor, that Caterpillar, and I thought I was a big shot, and I was probably 13, 14 years old maybe. But it was just such a fun thing to do. I probably looked like a midget on that big tractor, But they still make them today. The D7s, D8s. Now they got D9s. But that's how big they are. But they can pull. Oh, I should tell you a story, which I forgot to say. Can I go ahead and tell the story? True story. I was working on a farm out in western part of Minnesota. North Dakota, actually. It was in North Dakota. No, not quite. Probably this far. Anyway, I was supposed to plow from 12 midnight to 12 noon. And then the guy would come out at 12 noon and drive till 12 midnight plowing. Now a section of land is a mile this way, a mile that way, just a square mile, okay? And most of the fields out there were a mile square. And of course, my first night, I was out there and learned a little bit about the tractor, and it was a diesel Caterpillar RD4, I remember that, and it pulled 2 3-bottom plows. Now, of course, they got tractors that pull 12 bottoms, but this was 6 plows, okay? And one behind the other. They weren't in one plow, it was 2 plows. And so we had it was a pretty long range, and then behind that we pulled a drag, so, it kind of smoothed it out after we plowed it. Anyway, I go out there at midnight and you would start plowing. And when you come to where you went around the section, okay? You would drive this way. When you come to where you had plowed this way, you'd make a turn like this, go this way, make a turn like that and come this way. And every time you went around, you had a smaller field, okay? And so I'm sitting there driving, and it's nice, warm night, and I get tired. I couldn't sleep, for days because I was so excited about my job. Well, I fell asleep on the tractor. Oh my God. And when I woke up, I looked around, nothing's familiar. I look back and I see where I plowed. I could just see where I just come through plowing, and it wasn't even my field. I was in somebody else's field, and I was pulling a fence. It come across a road, pulled a fence down, and I'm pulling a fence. Oh man, did I wake up. Now what to do? So first thing I do, I got to try to get that fence back, because gosh only knows how far I pulled it. But of course, then it was night, so the lights only were so far. And so I finally come across a old farm road. I plowed right across that damn thing. Yeah, and there was the fence. That's where the fence was on that alongside that road. So I had to pull it back and try to get it somewhat straightened out, but I never got it really perfect. Then I had to go back and plow back what I had plowed. I had to turn it back. So it wouldn't be such a mess. Well, that probably took me an hour and a half to kind of get it smoothed out a little bit. And I thought, man, I'll probably lose my job and everything, And so what we would do when we were through plowing this mile field, then we do the corners, you know, because there will be a patch in the corner, so we'd do the kitty corner like that. And I thought, well, I'm halfway plowed into this field, so if I plow the corners, he's probably not going to notice the fence or anything like that when he comes to relieve me, you know, because it's going to be daylight when he comes. So I started plowing the corners, all 4 of them. So when he comes out, he said, why in the hell did you plow the corners? We do it afterward. Well, I said, I think it looks a lot better doing it this way, you know. Then you don't have to go all the way to the end. He said, well, sounds silly to me, but he said, okay. So he never did find any evidence of what I had done.
He did, he never told, huh?
Oh, hell, no, I never said anything.
No, but he never said anything, even if he did find it.
No, and so I thought, well,
Did they call you back?
huh?
Did they ask you back?
Oh yeah. My boss never even found out about it, I don't think, because he had so much land. You know, I was probably 4 or 5 miles from his place. So, but you know what? I had something working for me. You know, the guy that relieved me, it was my other half. You know, he would change the oil on the tractor, you know, in the daylight, and then of course I wouldn't have to bother about doing it at night. Guess what? He changed the oil on the tractor, and I'm a guy who just watches gauges, and I see the oil gauge go like this. I shut everything down, and the oil plug had fallen out of the pan. All the oil drained out of the car. Out of the tractor. So I shut it down, and I walked back to where the oil was, and got oil. Can you believe I found the oil cap?
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I cleaned it up and put it back on, and went back and got the oil, and started my tractor up and started going again. And I thought, if you ever say anything,
Yeah, I got you.
I got you.
Yeah.
But I kept it in my, I got you. I'm not going to say anything, but I got you. So he don't know that, but I know that. So if I would have really, he really got fired. He'd have got fired.
How old were you?
I would say probably 16 years old, maybe.
Now, could you have fallen off?
Huh?
Could you have fallen off the tractor falling asleep?
No.
Possibly you could have fallen off?
No, the seat was like this,
Okay.
you know.
So what year it was at the time?
Was that?
What the year was at the time when you was around 16?
No, we had animals at home, but
What year was it?
Year.
what year? It would be in the
Before Second War?
30s. It'd probably be,
38?
yeah, no, it wouldn't be that.
Well,
Let's-
then you'd be 16.
I 38. I'd put 37, I bet. Yeah, about 37. No, go ahead. Okay, we had an old John Deere steel-wheeled tractor that you know, was really almost worn out, and my dad wasn't the best at keeping machinery up in good shape, so you know, and he didn't give much interest to safety. You know, if you bought something that had a safety thing built in, if it was in his way, he would take it off. You know, so we had an old John Deere tractor with a 3-bottom plow, and our farm had lots of rocks on it, and so we had like a spring hitch, because if you hit a real big rock with your plow, you couldn't move it. So the spring hitch would snap, and then your tractor would be free, because the plow would be stuck back there, and you had a it was independent from the tractor. So then you have to back up, hook up the hitch again, and try to back off the rock that the plow had hit, so you can pull it over, you know. And so, like I say, the old John Deere had a kind of a jerky clutch, you know. And when that hitch snapped open, you know, I had to go and get it snapped back so the spring would load again. So if I hit another big rock, it would snap again rather than break the machine. So I'm backing up to try to hook up the plow, and I'll tell you, when I think about it today, you talk about how suicidal that was. You know, not even thinking. You know, and my dad or nobody thought it was bad. You know, that should have not happened. But anyway, I'm standing on the ground and lifting the hitch up, and the clutch is jerky. Try to hook it into the clevis, you know, and I'm pushing the thing so the tractor would back up, so I could drop. I did it a lot of times. Drop it into the clevis, then I'd be hooked up again. Well, this time, I don't know what happened, but I snapped the clutch in. I snapped the clutch in. Now I'm in reverse, and now the tractor is backing up.
Oh.
And the lever that adjusts the plow is in my back. And my chest is on the steering wheel. So I can't move, because there's a real force here. And so I pass out. And then when the tractor digs itself down, it starts to jump, I fall out from between the lever and the steering wheel.
Oh my God.
So when I wake up, I'm laying crosswise on the hitch to the plow. And if I look up and I see these big tractor lugs spinning in my face, you know, this far away. One wrong move, and that lug would have picked me up and
Yeah.
pulled me under the tractor and over. So I knew that. I knew, hey, this is not good. So, and I was hurting all over because I had just been almost crushed to death. So I finally mustered up enough strength so I could move a little bit higher on the hitch. So the hitch was on an angle. So I had to kind of move uphill. And I finally got moved uphill far enough to where I could get up and pull the damn throttle back on the tractor and stop it. And I fell on the field, and I laid there for about a half an hour. I thought I was going to die, you know, but at least I was away from the tractor. And I'm 3/4 of a mile from home, by myself in this field. So I finally mustered up enough strength that I could stand and stumble and walk a little bit. And I stumbled my way back home and told them what had happened. So they just told me to go lay down a while, and they went out to see what really was wrong. And they said, how in the world you ever lived, we don't know. Because the space between the steering wheel and the lever was so thin, there's no way in the world you could survive that. But I did.
How old were you?
How old were you?
I was probably 14, 15 years old. We know when you were 9 years old, you were doing the men's work. But when I grew up, yeah, that was the closest call I've ever had.
Wow.
And I was all by myself on that big field. I don't know why they do that to kids, you know. So many people I knew got killed in farm accidents. I guess they were expendable, huh? If you raised 10 and you lost 2, that's not too bad. You know, they didn't have the appreciation for life like we do today. I don't think. People got killed in farm accidents all the time.
They didn't know about safety.
Yeah, no, and especially if they knew about it, they would change it because it got in their way. You know, all tractors have universal joints hooking up to different machines. You know what that is? That's a universal joint, so you can change angle of it. If you want to power something over here and your tractor's here, we can do the universal joint, do that. And so they would be covered up, but they need grease. So it was much easier to grease them if you took the shield off and not put it back on.
Yeah.
It happened to my dear friend here, one of my good friends here in Sandwich. Now he should have known better. He was an old guy, a farmer, and he got his arm caught in a universal joint on a manure spreader. Pulled his arm off. Well, it almost pulled it off. He said, you know, he was telling me. He said, I knew I was in trouble. He said, when I see my hand coming up on the other side, which I has no right to. I know there's something crazy. So he just pulled all he could, and finally got his hand free, but he was just shattered. And he got on his tractor and tried to drive home, you know. And somebody noticed him on the tractor. He was soaked with blood. So he ran up alongside him and told him to stop the tractor, got him down and put him in his car and took him to the hospital. And they had to take his arm off, but he lived.
Can you tell us a story about the submarine?
Yeah. Well, you know, when I was in the Navy, I was in, you know, you make good friends, okay? And my best buddy that I went all through the service, submarine training with, my best friend, we were planning our time after the war. We were going to get motorcycles and we were going to travel around the country. And when we needed money, we'd stop and get a job and get enough money to go again. And we really were going to do that. And he this new submarine, the USS Bullhead, which the last one we lost, had an opening for him, but not for me. I was a petty officer and he was a seaman, so he got called and then tried to get me, and he said no, we got an opening for him. So they sailed and went to sea, and then a couple of days later, when they ported somewhere, somebody got transferred and they had an opening for me. And he said, you know, he said, I could get you on board now if you could get over here right away. I couldn't get there.
It was Second War.
Yeah, after that, and so I didn't get on the boat. But if you ever go to Hawaii and you've been there, I'm sure. No, maybe not. They have the memorial, the Arizona Memorial. Well, alongside of the memorial now, they have a submarine memorial, and they have all the submarines that were sunk in the war, all the way in a big circle like that. And the very last one is the USS Bullhead. The very last name on the Bullhead is Wiersma, my good buddy. His name was Al Wiersma. He was on that boat. The USS Bullhead had no business being sunk.
How
was it sunk?
Well, the war was over. Everybody knew the war was about to end, okay? But this captain was trying to get another medal, you know? So he was going to go in and try to do some damage in water that was too shallow to submerge, really. So he was shelling the deep beaches with his deck guns. So they just radioed in for a torpedo plane and sunk them.
Wow.
the Japanese did?
Mm-hmm. That's the story as I know it, you know what?
So it wasn't your time.
It wasn't my time.
Now, when we went to the submarine museum in Connecticut, connection with this, launching this new Illinois submarine that they did, for where you were. Did you find information about that submarine at that submarine museum? I thought you did. I thought there was information on that.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure it's available, but the hello? Are you there? Okay, are you there?
I was a call coming in.
Oh, there's a call coming in. Well, I'm not going to answer it, okay? Anyway, those are stories that really have happened in my
Those
life.
calls.
How
That
about
could've turned out differently.
2015 encounter with President of the United States?
What is that?
His wife.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good story.
Yeah. We went out, I was asked, there's one of the latest submarines is the USS Illinois, number 786. And I was fortunate enough to be invited to come out to the launching and the commissioning of that boat. In fact, I pinned the dolphins on the crew members.
You were asked by
Asked to do that, and I said, "My God, no!" I told the captain, I said, "That's something for dignitaries like senators, and I have no right to do that." And the captain said, "I can choose anybody I want to do that." He said, "I want you to do it." Because I was a World War II submariner, and he didn't know any World War II submariners. He said, "I want you there, and I call the shots." He said, "I'm the captain of the boat." Jesse Porter was his name. Wonderful guy, wonderful guy. Yeah, you met him, didn't you?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
with you.
yeah. He took the.
We went to a reception over at one of the schools in
In Aurora.
Aurora.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah. Well, that's when he asked me to
When he asked
to come out and pin the dolphins on.
And that's you met all of Jan's family was
Oh
there
yeah.
for you for that.
Kitty came.
For those of you,
Kitty came.
for those of you that have never seen it, have you seen the dolphin?
The dolphins?
Yeah, get a dolphin. That's the submarine album that
Yeah.
people wear on their lapel, and it's like the Air Force has the wings, but these are the dolphins, and they get their name from the submarine people, because they were such a sailor's friend. They say that if they find somebody in the water who is still alive, yeah. See, this is supposed to be a boat, a submarine,
Show to camera.
and this is a dolphin on either side. Okay, and they wear them up here, and that's what I was pinning on the sailors out there.
And you got one too.
Yep, and this is the one the captain had. I'll give you mine, he said. He said, this one has been traveled around a lot, he said, so, but I'm going to give it to you.
That's nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Joe. Now this is Candy's.
Submarine, what the submarine.
This is Candy's. Now I want you guys to look at this. Candy did this with her embroidering machine.
That's what the submarines looked like.
Yeah.
During World War II?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Now I'll turn around to the front, and you'll see the dolphins here. She did that too.
Very nice.
Did you went inside of the submarine?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
I sure did.
One?
Yeah.
Illinois?
Oh my God! If you were to compare, they say you could compare the submarines today to what they were when we were at war. They'd be like comparing a Piper Cub to a 747.
Bless you.
Yeah, they're much bigger.
It's those are absolutely the most fearful men of war. Hello, Mark. Hello, Mark. Hello.
Yeah, I'm back. The call just failed, so I'm back.
Did I lose you?
No, yeah, you did for a moment, but I got right back on.
Okay, good. So anyway, I went aboard, and I don't walk so well anymore, and those decks are it was kind of raining and slippery, and I said, I don't believe I can do this. And they said, oh yes you can. I said, I don't know. They had carried me to the hatch and let me down, and there was two guys on the top and one guy on the bottom, so all I had to do was kind of guide myself. They helped me down, and they took me to the whole ship. The only place we couldn't go was the torpedo missile room. We went to the torpedo room, but not the missile room where they launched the missiles. That's still top secret. But you talk about a man of war. They can go, nobody knows where all these boats are. Oh yeah, nobody, some people know. But the majority of people don't know. And they can launch a missile and strike a target thousands of miles away, like putting them through a picture window. That's how accurate they are.
Yeah.
Not long ago, the submarine did fire a missile at the enemy. I don't know if you remember that. Maybe a year or two ago, that somebody, I think in Iran or something, was making a lot of fuss, and they sent one over there. And boy, that kind of closed it up for a while, because they don't know where they are, where they're coming from, because they can fire from under the water. This boat that I described to you could stay underwater for 40 years. 40 years. All they got to come up for is food for the crew. Our submarines could only go down for 60 hours. And then we were out of oxygen. So we had to come up and charge batteries. Yeah. Submarines, typically the old ones, they'd come to the surface in the daytime to charge batteries, and then they'd have to watch, you know, the guys with binoculars checking if there's anything around. And if they see something that they might be seeing, they dive. But they have to charge the batteries. They do their damage at night when they can't be detected. Just that little periscope sticks up, you know.
What was the mortality rate?
Was that?
What was the mortality rate during World War II of the submarine service?
They were what?
The mortality rate of the people who were submarine. I know it was the highest of any.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We had to, what they say, to qualify, you had to know every system on the ship. I still think that applies, you know. I still think that applies. So if somebody's incapacitated, somebody else can jump in and do your job. They got to know how to do it, okay? So, and they have, the ones we were acquainted with had 3 systems. If one went broke, we had another one. If one was damaged, we could hook up another one. So that everything was 2 or 3 times safety, you know, so they weren't as vulnerable, you know what I mean? They could switch to another circuit, if you please, or whatever.
I just remember being told when we were there for the launching of the USS Illinois, when we went to the museums and stuff,
Yeah.
that the mortality rate of the people during World War II who were in the submarine service was like over 30%. It was far and away the highest mortality rate, death rate,
Yeah.
of any service. It was very, very dangerous. And of course, the way the war started, when you guys had all those dud missiles, you know, or dud torpedoes,
Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
ineffective. But in the terms of the percentage of submarines that were lost and the number of people that were lost, it was amazing to me what a dangerous, division, of our armed forces being a submariner was. You know, and you were very fortunate.
Yeah, I was very
You
fortunate.
weren't in a lot of battle situations.
No, I was very fortunate. You know, I think, you know, my mother was a very praying person. And I know that's the reason I'm still alive, you know, because her and her friend used to, you know, pray for not just me, but all servicemen every day. You know, I just found out about that lately. Her and Minnie Hansen Minnie would come over and they would pray on their hands and knees for the service people. And that's why I'm here. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that.
Now, your role specifically was in the diesel and the engine rooms?
Engine
Your
room.
primary responsibility was?
Engine room. That's where I lost my hearing, really. They were so noisy. And of course, they didn't give you earplugs or anything. There was no regard for safety like it is today, you know. So it wasn't just back on the farm. They just weren't very conscious about people's safety. And like, why wouldn't they give us earplugs? You know, so we wouldn't have this sound. If you went out to shoot trap, they make you wear earplugs with a shotgun. And then we were in this environment and no protection at all. And if you were sitting where the camera is, and I screamed at you at the top of my voice, you couldn't hear me. That's the noise level. You had these big engines, you know, big diesel engines, and the Winton engines were the worst. They were made by GM. They were V16s, 4 of them on each boat, okay? And man, they would scream. The Fairbanks Morse was much better, much wasn't quite as efficient, but it was a lot easier to be around. It was a 2-cycle engine, and had 2 crankshafts, one on the bottom, one on the top, and the pistons would come together in the middle. They would inject the fuel, and they'd go up again, and all 6. So there were 12 pistons and 6 holes, okay? And so they were very efficient. They were and much quieter, you know. I don't know which engine they had in the one up in Manitowoc, but they used 2 engines, the Winton and the Fairbanks Morse.
How about the photos the sailors were
The what?
carrying? Photos of the relatives. The sailors were carried inside of the submarine. Do you
The
remember?
photographs that
Photographs.
the sailors would carry of their family.
Oh yeah. I still have them when because I was never on the boat long enough. I don't know if they let me do that or not. I think they would. I had Florence on one side and I was on the other side. I think you've seen that picture, no? I wish you could dig it out because I took it with me everywhere. And the guys really got to know Florence. And they would come in and take that picture and kiss it. They'd say, "How's our Flo today?" You know, our Flo. I said, "Hey, what are you talking about?" "She's my girl." "Well," she said, "she's our girl." She never saw him, never seen him. They just had kind of adopted her, you know. Yep. Well, I guess that's it for now. Anything else we could talk about? I don't know.